What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Hello and welcome into the Get in the Hole podcast. Stephen McAvoy here with you on a magnificent Monday. To you and yours here in the underground, thank you for joining us wherever you may be. However you're listening, my throat is destroyed from Kendrick Lamar last night. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But while you're here, throw a like, subscribe, 5-star review, the whole kit and caboodle, right to our podcast sites, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your favorite shows. Just search Underground Sports Philadelphia. Give us those subs. We've hit the 200 subscriber mark. We're trying to monetize. Me and Bennett have been going hard. We're trying to get as much as we can to get you guys in the best spot to get all the content you want. While you're there, get the content that you need all in the world of golf on Twitter and Instagram, Get in the Hole Pod. And on Facebook, just search Get in the Hole. Of course, you can find our parent network, like I said, Underground Sports Philadelphia. We're everywhere. We're rolling. We have every kind of content that you're looking for in the podcast metaverse. You can find them on Twitter and Instagram at Underground PHI, on Facebook and Twitch. Type in those URLs and backslash it with Underground Sports PHI. Once again, Steve McAvoy here, as per usual, on the PGA Tour every single week. And joining me in a very special manner, obviously we had him on 2 weeks ago, but Ben Pirro is back. You can follow him on Twitter at Ben_Pirro. Sorry, Pirro_Ben.
Yeah, get it right.
I know. And Ben, very special announcement. It's been a long time coming, and you had texted me about, I don't know, a month and a half ago, about wanting to get more into the podcast space.
Well, you texted me. You texted me.
No. You had put out an Instagram story saying that you were looking to possibly start a podcast. I reached out to you and said, "Hey, how can I help you?"
Uh-huh.
As somebody already in the media, don't try and butter yourself up as if I came to you. Get the hell out of here. And lo and behold, you're probably understanding where the gist is going. Ben Pirro, the new host of the Get in the Hole podcast, alongside yours truly, Mr. Wonderful, Steve McAvoy. Obviously, the pro golfer in the room knows a lot more about a lot of different things than I do. I'm just here to look pretty. I'm like Jim Nantz, and he's like Nick Faldo. You don't mind me using that comparison. I know Fowler gets a bad rep, which by the way, his last week was this past week, and he did an incredible job at the Wyndham. But from my Jim Nantz to my Nick Faldo, how are you feeling?
I feel great. I'm ready to get it going. I feel like I have a lot of responsibility trying to keep you on task during the show and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it. As you did just say, I have a lot of what was it you just said? I wasn't really listening. I have like a lot of great ideas. I know a lot about golf.
Yeah, well, naturally. I would hope you know a lot about golf, despite you don't watch golf very much, as we've already talked about on a multitude of occasions. But you're getting more into it. You've been doing your research, and it's been really, really fun to see you flourish and watching golf now, which is a fun sight. On top of also doing everything else you do. But in terms of like your overall knowledge, I can get on and talk about grass, but why not talk to the actual guy who plays on it all the time? I go out and play the local munis. You're actually playing potentially for the long run professional style courses, which is something that I'll probably never be able to do outside of playing Bethpage Black and getting obliterated.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to be part of the program, part of the show. Steven does a great job. It's really no, I'm serious. It is an honor. Thank you. Sure. I'm very flattered and honored to have been essentially wanted for this role, I guess. So I do have a lot of really good ideas. So I have maybe a light bulb going on a little bit. This is like a light bulb for me. So I have some good ideas for the show coming up, maybe that we can try to implement. But yeah, let's get crack-a-lackin'. Let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great week this week in golf. Some really good storylines. Obviously, it's the FedEx Cup playoff season now. We're going to Tpc Southwind. One of the best events of the year, the FedEx St. Jude Invitational. Obviously for an incredible cause. Last year, Sam Burns came out here, won out. Sorry, was it Sam Burns or Abe Answer? I'm trying to forget. believe it was Sam Burns, came out here, knocked out the field. Am I right with that? Or am I just like...
No idea.
I'm either sounding super dumb or I sound like a genius. I'm pretty sure it was Sam Burns because he's somewhere in my my analysis. Of course, came out here, dominated Tpc Southwind, got the huge win in Tennessee, and now this is a little different because in years prior, the FedEx Cup playoffs consisted of the Northern Trust to begin, which was held in the northeastern area, followed by the BMW, and then the Tour Championship. The Northern Trust is now a defunct event. It has now gone to the wayside, unfortunately, and now the FedEx St. Jude, what was a WGC, is now coming to the limelight and taken over the playoff spot. But before we get into all of that, we got to break down what happened this week at the Wyndham Championship, Sedgefield Country Club, down in North Carolina. It was a really interesting week, and the one man to prevail was Joohyung Kim, who goes by the name Tom. Do you know why?
I do not know why.
Because as a kid, he was infatuated with Thomas the Tank Engine, and he goes by Tom.
I love that show. I used to have the toy trains. I used to use them all the time.
So did I. Hold on, wait. Were you one of the kids like me who had the train table set?
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Classic. So we're gonna divert big time here. When I was a kid, obviously Toy Story was not Toy Story. Toy stores were like huge, and like Toys R Us was the big place by us. And I remember there was one it was by the Smith Haven Mall. My mom every week, I was like 4 years old, would bring me and I'd get a new train, and it was like our time. We'd go, we'd walk the aisles, we'd look at all the trains. I literally had like a 100 train collection, and it was like wild pieces up the wazoo. I would create in my room like these like super dynamic setups. It was like weird. It was crazy. But I loved Thomas the Train. It was really good.
It's very cool. I think we should get back to the golf. I don't think the viewers care about your Thomas the Tank Engine infatuation.
So Tom Kim earns his first PGA Tour win, and in stunning fashion, might I add, a 61 on the final day of the event, which tied the course record. So really impressive on his end. Do I have a Chinese food delivery? Hell yeah, I do.
You got a whole liter of Coke too.
Actually, the Coke is for the family, but I'll take it. Everyone, Dylan McAvoy here in the presence delivering me my Chinese food.
With you guys and tank top.
Or we're talking fantasy football.
We're talking golf, bro.
Dang it.
We only ever talk golf.
Yeah, Cam Smith. That's my boy.
Cam Smith is an asshole because he's gonna jump ship to live in it.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's right. I just said it. Anyways,
Steve, enough with the controversial takes. Come on.
close the door. So Tom Kim takes home his first PGA Tour win. Some history about what he managed to do in this event. He has 9 pro wins. Most of them came on the Asian circuit, but some numbers here that I found increasingly interesting. He's the first player born in the 2000s to win a PGA Tour event, which is like kind of crazy to think how a lot of these guys are still like in my age like gap, 23, 24, 25. Now this kid's literally 20 years old. He's the second youngest player to win since World War II, outside of only Jordan Spieth, when he won at the age of 19. And he's the only player to win after an opening quad bogey on the first hole. That's been since stats were kept in 1983. That's the only duration that we have. But he's the first player and only player to ever do it. And now also, not for nothing, in literally what has been his first season on the PGA Tour, he finished fifth at the Scottish. That was his first pro start. And then to come all the way here, he's already vying for a President's Cup title as of right now. So very, very well could see him in Rome, at Quail Hollow very soon. Ben, what do you make of Tom Kim's first PGA Tour win? Break it down for us.
I mean, look, it was very impressive. Sedgefield is a very challenging golf course, which you might not think by the scores. He did shoot 20 under and he did win by 5. So really, even with the quad, if he had just hypothetically made par on the first hole of this tournament, he still would have won by 1. That's how well he played.
Yeah.
He shot 67, 64, 68, 61. He only had 1 bogey in his final round. What stuck out to me, I mean, this just speaks to the youth movement in golf. And I've always had a theory where and I've seen this many times with players who play on tour, players who have tried to play on tour. Once you kind of hit like the 36-year-old mark, that's generally when I see the physical skills start to decrease. They start to go downhill. I've seen that with my own eyes. I mean, Phil Mickelson clearly has never been the same player, and he's actually, since he was in his 40s, since he reached the 40-year-old mark, he just really was never the same player. Yes, he still won, but it became much more infrequent.
Yeah.
And you see that a lot with older guys for sure. So it just speaks to how golf is becoming such a much younger game, and how the older generation, once they reach a certain age, they start to kind of fall off the cliff a little bit. Who came up with that falling off the cliff theory, by the way? Oh, Max Kellerman. Max Kellerman. Yeah, I don't mean to sound like Max Kellerman, but for all of you golf people out there, generally once you hit like 36, you kind of start to fall off the cliff. So just a little fun fact for you.
Well, like you could very clearly see it in guys like Adam Scott, who hasn't really hit his height outside of Sergio Garcia's one great Ryder Cup this past year. He really hasn't been the same player. He's had a few glimmers here, but even like Tiger, in his second comeback when he won the Masters, it was incredible, but he still was never going to be the same guy that he ever was in 2012, 2011. So it's a very different game. So you're totally right there.
Yeah, and just some things that stuck out to me. I mean, he was, for the week, this is from PGAtour.com, he averaged 73% driving accuracy, 79% greens in regulation, and for the week, in all 4 rounds combined, he had 12.5 strokes gained putting, roughly. So it was clearly his week. He's young. He's fearless. He's only 20 years old. And now he's a PGA Tour member, which is great. Good for him. And in very limited starts, he's only played 9 events on the PGA Tour this year, 9 PGA Tour sanctioned events this year. I believe he had 2 top 10s. I believe he finished top 10 last week. So the game has definitely been trending up. I would temper the expectations for the President's Cup because 9 events is a very small sample size.
Yeah.
Normally you'll see guys play probably 20 to 25 times a year. He's played less than half of that. So just maybe temper your expectations for that. But obviously he does have a chance, and he has the next he's 35th, I believe, in FedEx Cup points. So he does have a chance to continue his season and make his case for qualifying via points or captain's pick.
Yeah, it's been fascinating. I'm looking at his numbers right now. Ever since the U.S. Open, he finished 23rd at the U.S. Open. Prior to that, missed the cut at the PGA, finished top 20 at the Byron Nelson, and then didn't play since October. So he literally had a 6-month gap in PGA Tour action. He played some Asian Circuit events, but played the CJ Cup at Summit, finished 49th. But from the U.S. Open on, finished 3rd at the Scottish in a really strong field. Again, the Scottish was the one event prior to the Open where all the big-time names, JT, John Rahm, and the like, were all going so they can get ready for links golf. So to finish 3rd there was absolutely incredible on him. Finished 47th at the Open Championship, 26th at the 3M, and then back-to-back weeks in the top 10. The Rocket Mortgage for a 7th place finish, and then the first at Wyndham. Really incredible. But look at this: the President's Cup point. I saw an article by someone from the Action Network, and I was fascinated by the thought. When you think about what might happen with Live Golf and some guys who might go, and this goes back to what I said earlier about how Cam Smith might jump ship and Hideki Matsuyama might jump ship, there might very well be openings on this President's Cup roster, assuming that these players are not allowed to play in those events. So you might see guys who are lesser known on the totem pole. Obviously, Louis Oosthuizen's already out of the running because he's in Live. I'm trying to think of some other big time names. As of right now, the best players that are currently going to be on this team: Adam Scott, Mark Leishman. There really aren't, like, the echelon of guys is kind of low. So when you think about it, to have someone who's already got a win, which a lot of these guys can't say the same, Scott and Leishman included, he very well might fall under a captain's pick. Yeah, he's young, but what's the point of filling out this team if you can't bring on some pretty good youth to try and motivate your team for future years? I think Tom Gibbs is going to be a great pick.
Absolutely.
To go on now to some more hard-hitting topics from Wyndham, one of the things that really stood out to me was Will Zalatoris this past week. He finished top 10, and something happened halfway through the week that shocked me. He split ties with his caddy after round 2. Now, Ben, you don't have a official full-time caddy on your bag, but eventually you will. Obviously, the role of the caddy is huge for all pros, whether it be as a companion, someone who knows courses. I know with Cameron Young at the Open, he cut ties with his best friend from college. For someone who knew links golf really well, and obviously that propelled him to a second place finish at the Open. The role of a caddy is so important. What does it mean for a player to almost not even sever ties, because afterwards he said that they're both still great friends. But the idea of letting go of your caddy and bringing on a player rep for the second half of the tournament, it seems kind of crazy.
It's definitely not something you usually see. It's not unheard of. I believe whenever the U.S. Women's Open was at Sabonic, this was, yikes, probably... It was under 10 years ago, I believe.
Okay.
What the hell? Okay. What was I saying? It's not unheard of. I have seen it, and I've actually seen it. I have seen it have great, some pretty good success. I really think, though, I was reading an article by Zach Brazeler from the New York Post. And essentially, as we know, he fired his caddy. There were issues on the course that they were having. Were supposedly affecting their friendship because they were very good friends. It's very important for you to have a good relationship with your caddy, because that is the person that you are really stuck with out there, for lack of a better term, for a prolonged period of time. So if you don't get along, or if you don't like your caddy, it's going to be a long day. I've had some bad caddies in my day. I remember my first ever New York State Open, just like a little
doorbell.
Yeah, I'm not getting that.
Hi there. Would you like to have this book of a Christ?
The heck.
Please answer it for the comedy.
Really?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want me to bring you with me?
Yeah, let's go. Go. Also, we have breaking news in the world of golf. Donald Trump's golf course at Mar-a-Lago was raided. Total sidebar. Yeah, breaking news by the FBI. Who is it? Who is it?
Someone put, I'm not kidding, there's a bag of corn. I'm not touching that. I don't know where it's been.
It's probably anthrax on it.
Ew, that's disgusting. All right.
What if it's the folks from that one pro-am trying to get back at you by killing you?
Don't even bring that up. What were we talking about? We were talking about okay. Side note.
Relationships with caddies.
Yes, relationships with caddies are very important. Okay. I remember specifically at one point for me, my very first ever New York State Open, I was in high school going to my senior year. It's a professional event at Bethpage Black. Very difficult course. It's long, rough is thick. Just honestly, probably a top 5 toughest course in the world, in my opinion. Well, my caddy said that he was going to be at the course. He worked at Bethpage. He was a caddy there. He said he'd be there an hour and a half before my tee time. He did not show up until 30 seconds before I had to tee off. And for those of you that don't know, in the New York State Open, you must have a caddy or they will not let you play.
Really?
Yep. And I was right on the cut. Like I was actually, I think I was right on the number, or one inside the number, one outside the number. I was right around the cut line going into the second round, which is cut day. So that just shows how important having a good relationship with your caddy is. And if it starts to affect you on the course and off the course, if things aren't going well, it's time to make a change. It's a little bit unorthodox, but I do think that it was probably for the best because I believe right now Zalatoris he's 12th in FedEx Cup points right now. There's a lot of money at stake over these next 3 weeks. So he cannot afford to have any distractions and any negativity on the golf course in the coming weeks. This is a very important stretch. So I do think it's a good move. I will say, I think it's a good move. I think it's a mature move, especially with how he handled it. I just hope that people don't jump to a conclusion saying, oh, he might be difficult to work with, or, oh, he's such a jerk for firing his caddy midway through. I'm sure his caddy will land on his feet and probably caddy for someone else at some point.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure he'll be just fine. So
I found it fascinating because, first of all, like you said, there's a lot of money on the line. I read a tweet by Kyle Porter. On average, a missed putt for par is worth upwards of $40,000.
well, yeah.
Like every putt from here on out. Imagine that, like gun to your head, you got to make a putt from like 6 feet, and you're Will Zalatoris sweating buckets because like you like sway your putter the whole way. Like
he's not even a putter to begin with.
Exactly. So imagine that alone. First of all, obviously he's already a great ball striker to begin with. He's the reason why he's been so good is he's basically ball striked his way to contention in majors, which is something that like everyone kind of doubted him for. They're like, oh, the putter's never going to work. He's never going to finish top 10 with the fields that he's in. But he's managed to play pretty damn well and to be top 12 in FedEx Cup points. I mean, you're here for a reason. So clearly the caddying issue was more of a. I think it's more of a need to get somebody in who knows what they're doing, and obviously his new caddy has plenty of experience in the area. He knows a lot of these courses. He's caddied for some big time names. So, again, this is more of a. He said, I'm pretty sure he said in a quote, "I had to tear the Band-Aid off at some point." So this has been a long time coming, kind of thing. So why not do it right now when you need a change and you need to get something done? And now it's a Monday, so you do it on a Saturday. You can get 2 warm-up rounds, basically, get ready for the playoffs, and now go in for the next 3 events and try and go as hard as you can. Try and get to that stroke deficit and try and break it down to maybe being the number 1 player going in. And who knows? Will Zalatoris can very well figure it out. It would be fascinating to see him get his first tour win, though, in the playoffs. That would be quite the showing.
That would be. I think he's definitely – I did not think about this. A little off topic. He's a very good sleeper pick.
Yeah.
Just saying. For any of you gambling people out there. Not me. Maybe Steven is. I don't know.
I used to be. I quit cold turkey because I was not like losing too much money, but I was like, I'm doing this way too often. I just got to stop. Cheers and jeers from Sedgefield this week. Who were some guys who surprised you? You really enjoyed. Obviously, Tom Kim was a out of nowhere kind of play, but there were some guys who were really upsetting at Sedgefield, and some guys who basically played their way into the playoffs. Who are some of those guys for you from this past weekend?
I did not see that on the thing you sent me, so I have no idea.
All right, great.
You did not include that.
We're starting off real strong. It's totally okay. No, I saw there were a few guys that I was surprised with this past week. First of all, I said this last week. Webb Simpson named his daughter Wyndham, and he usually plays really well here. He played like ass.
I did. Yeah.
I was like, I was shocked. Sanjay M played really well this week. Finished T2 with John Huh, which also is a great name. Some other guys who played well enough that I'm pretty sure they got. He just slightly missed the playoff, but Cheston Hadley, T8 played really well this past week. He's been somebody who has been kind of on and off. He's been a rocky kind of player, but he's been quite solid for his first PGA season. So credit to him. My guy Aaron Wise and Davis Riley, who I had finishing really high, both finished 10 under. But where did Webb finish exactly? Hold on, I gotta find this.
By the way, I was wrong. You did include it in the text. I just completely missed it, just so you know.
Oh, don't worry. I know it was there.
I know. Yeah, I messed up.
Yeah, so Webb Simpson outright missed the cut as did Ricky Fowler. But Ricky Fowler is in a very different position than many folks because he misses the cut and yet makes the playoff. And I don't know how much of that is due to the fact that guys from Liv were canceled from the FedEx Cup playoffs scheme because there was like I think 7 guys who would have qualified. So it very well could have been that, but we'll talk more about Ricky in a bit. But yeah, so some cheers and jeers. Definitely cheers to Tom Kim. Cheers to Sanjay M. Im's going to go into the playoffs once again and be on fire. Russell Henley as well, 2 guys who I am very high on as middle of the pack players who are super undervalued in the world of golf. Between the 2 of them, and even like guys like Hideki Matsuyama, they're guys who like hover in the 30s, 20s, but they're just so good that they could win any given week and probably realistically could probably have won 3 or 4 times this year had it not been for some birdie bogey battles, especially with Sanjay M, who last year led the PGA Tour in birdies or better, as well as bogeys or worse. So, bit of a fun little stat there. Is there anybody that you happen to have, despite you not being ready for it? No, it's okay.
Wait, be ready for what?
Like, do you have anybody that you were surprised with or upset with this past week that you were interested in?
Not really. To be honest, I was not prepared. I did not see that, so that's my fault. But I'm
Totally
gonna
okay.
I'm gonna knock your socks off with my next thing. So because I know.
All right. Well, we're gonna get to that in a hot second. I have one last stat that I want to give you, because Corey Connors had a vintage Corey Connors week. Finished 7th in strokes gained off the tee, 8th in strokes gained approach. He finished tied for 21st. Why? Because he was the 123rd worst putter in the field. We're gonna take a short break. When we come back, we have a lot of discussion on the playoffs. We're gonna give you an entire mega betting breakdown. Everything. And a little bit of news as well as we got on it. Gotta be honest with you, I have no clue what the fuck just happened. I'm pretty sure my Wi-Fi and it was bad.
You completely froze, and I could not hear. I couldn't understand what you were saying. It was all gargled, and then you went silent, and then I said, I think I said something. I hope no one can hear you. And as I was saying that, we went right to break. I got cut off, I think.
All right, so let me reiterate what I said so I don't sound like an idiot. Corey Connors had the most vintage week. He finished 7th in strokes gained off the tee, 15th in strokes gained approach. But he finished T21 because he was finished 123rd in putting, which is the most typical Corey Connors thing. Is a top 20 machine, and you just simply can never get the putter right. Anyways, we're back here on Getting the Hole. Ben and Steve joining you this week and every week. Time to talk a little live golf. So some news in the world of golf. The PGA Tour, following a lawsuit filed by Matt Jones, Hudson Swafford, and Taylor Gooch, trying to file a restraining order to get back into the FedEx Cup playoffs, have filed an injunction with the Supreme Court to ensure that they are unable to play in the playoffs. As of right now, there are 8 guys who did qualify. Those 3 are the only 3 who are part of this specific lawsuit. With the injunction, this will basically get thrown out for weeks on end, in which case the only way that live players will be able to play will be if they pre-qualify essentially for the BMW, if they can even get a ruling that soon. So it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to play this year round, but this will in fact be a recurring case that we'll see in the next few months to try and see if live players can get back on playoff grounds for the PGA, or if they can even kind of get anything to help themselves out. But Ben, what do you make of the new injunction by Jay Monahan and the PGA Tour?
Well, I don't blame. So I know several weeks ago, I essentially defended anybody that went to live. In short, I basically defended anybody that did decide to go that route because of the money, the opportunity as far as payment, money, not having to be so hell-bent on just playing well so you do make money. I will say, though, I am actually happy that the PGA Tour did this because I don't believe that you should be able to double dip. If you are not happy with the PGA Tour, and a lot of guys were saying that Live allows them to play less, well, why do you want to go to the PGA Tour and play more? Especially because they haven't played in quite a while on the PGA Tour. I also thought the timing was pretty ridiculous. I have it right here in an article written by Kyle Porter of CBS Golf. Quote, the PGA Tour files motion against lawsuit aimed to allow live golfers into 2022 FedEx Cup playoffs, end quote. So as per the article, 11 live golfers filed this. Now only 3 are eligible for the FedEx Cup playoffs right now. Those being the 3 players that you mentioned, I believe. The reason for this, though, the PGA Tour believes that, quote, they cannot play, quote, because they've breached their PGA Tour contracts, end quote. So I did not know this, but apparently, at least by this direct quotation from Kyle Porter's article, the PGA Tour does make you sign some sort of contract, which those players did breach. Personally, I think that they should not be allowed to play. I don't think they should be allowed to double dip. I thought the timing was pretty ridiculous because it cast a dark cloud over the Wyndham Championship, which none of those players were clearly competing in. And only 3 of them are eligible for the FedEx Cup anyway. What do they care? Like, who cares? Like, you guys are making so much money just by signing a piece of paper. I don't understand why they would like to care, why they care so much about playing when one of the reasons they decided to play these live events was to play less. It just doesn't really make any sense. And for anybody out there that's like, well, why can't they double dip? Well, you have a minimum number of live events you have to play and a minimum number of PGA Tour events you have to play. That comes out to like 30 or so events every year. They'd be playing just as much, if not more, if they go that route rather than just sticking to one tour or one golf entity.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really make much sense, but that's just my thought.
So I'm looking at the numbers now. So technically speaking, 8 players did qualify. So Gooch, Kokrak, Jones, Swafford, Wolf, Answer, Ortiz, Koepka, and Howell all did qualify.
Oh.
However, every single one of them, with also the exception of Sergio Garcia and Dustin Johnson, who resigned from the PGA Tour, they were all suspended. The only players who were not quote-unquote suspended for some reason were Gooch, Kokrak, and Swafford. Sorry, Gooch, Jones, and Swafford, which is why they're trying to file this motion in order to break back in. Which I don't understand why they weren't just suspended outright. I believe all of them were, but there's some sort of they have like certain things that allow them to be eligible. I think it's because of it's because they all won this past year, so they all technically automatically qualify anyways. And they have certain PGA requirements to be able to be eligible for it, unlike guys like Kokrak and Wolf and Answer who don't have a win this year. So that's exactly what it is, actually. So I totally understand why they're trying to go after this. I don't agree with it, considering you're right. They jumped ship for a reason. Why would you even want to be a part of the PGA Tour playoff? Maybe it's because you want to get certain rounds played before you go on to play the next live event, which is going to come shortly after the Tour Championship. But at that point, if there's already a partnership, allegedly, with the Asian circuit, why not just go play Asian events? Like how Patrick Reed is going to go play. What does Patrick Reed care? He qualified probably for the playoff, or he came somewhat close to it, and yet he'll go play in Singapore and have absolutely no problem with it. I think it's a little BS that they're going to keep on fighting for this, because despite, yes, the PGA Tour is a quote-unquote monopoly in sort, so is the MLB, so is the NFL. These are non-profit organizations, allegedly, which really are totally for-profit, but we write it off as that because they're such huge entities and they bring so much money in. It's just that's just simply the business. I don't see how this goes any further. They're probably going to lose. The PGA Tour will eventually win, and the only way Live Golf's going to be able to overcome the PGA Tour is if they simply get a better product, which I think partially they already do. They just need a little more legitimacy and more of a backing, and they'll be able to actually just take over the PGA Tour, in my opinion, in terms of the actual talent on the course and what they're able to provide. That, let's be honest, Jim Monahan's team hasn't been able to do in the 6 months this has been happening.
Yeah. Just one thing to add. So just so everybody knows, the reason why the PGA Tour is considered a non-for-profit organization, the players are not directly paid by the tour.
Yeah.
Any money that they receive is from the sponsors of said PGA Tour events. So the PGA Tour is essentially almost $1 billion industry. None of their money goes towards paying the players. That's all strictly like they use it as it's non-taxable because none of it goes to the players. So the $939 million industry that the PGA Tour is, none of that money goes to the players. Just like why the NFL, MLB, NHL, they're also monopolies, yes, but they're also nonprofit organizations because the teams pay the players. Just like how the Cincinnati Bengals are paying for their own indoor practice facility. Just like how Tom Brady's making X amount of millions of dollars from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not from the NFL.
Exactly. So, and the PGA Tour is also they're technically the contractor, I guess you could say. And all the players are basically their own independent contractor anyway, so they sign contracts to join on. So they really aren't even affiliated in that sense. It's kind of like a labor worker signing up for a privatized job and getting a certification card in order to compete with them.
Yep,
that's literally all it is. And it's kind of funny how it works out because the PGA Tour really has no like real affiliation. They're basically just a billion or multi-billion-dollar charity organization that they actually do a lot. But then again, all these pro leagues do. But what really matters here is the fact that they are not actually considered a monopoly in any of these things because of the actual business of things. Getting off of Live, I'm done talking about them for the rest of the show. I literally don't want to have a single thing Live related for the rest of this entirety.
We could talk about it all day, buddy.
Buddy, we have something more important to talk about, and that's the playoffs. Powered by Pickup, it's the mega playoff preview. Our friends over at Pickup, sign up with your phone number, get betting today on all the prop bets. You place the bets, we cash in the bets, you get prizes. It's one of the best products that I've seen on the market. Pickup, follow them at Play Pickup and get betting today. Ben, we got to look at. We're gonna break it down a little bit. We're gonna give you a full entire recap and preview of the top 125 players in the world competing in the FedEx Cup playoffs. And we're gonna start here with the top dogs from player number 1, Scotty Scheffler, all the way to the guys in the top 30. A couple questions here, based on the courses that we're going to play. These are the guys who obviously are the front runners to A, make East Lake to begin with. B, win the events because it's the Rahms, the Cantlays, the Schefflers, the Cam Smiths of the world. Based on the 3 courses that we're going to play between Southwind, the BMW, and East Lake, give me who has the best shot to finish first going into the final, A, and B, someone who you think will come out of the woodwork and just absolutely wipe the field among the guys in the top 30.
Wait, so are you talking about best shot and then crash and burn? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so give me someone who you think is going to just absolutely dominate based on the courses that the courses are going to play, because, again, these are the premier guys.
Yep.
Who's going to finish in that first spot, come to the FedEx Cup, if any of them do, or who's going to just basically dominate the field and get higher up than they already are, and someone who's going to absolutely wipe.
Okay, so I'd say the best shot, it's simple answer for me is Scotty Scheffler. I looked at the point totals thus far. He has over 1,000-point lead. So really, the way the PGA Tour is structured, at least the next 2 events, is a normal PGA Tour event. The winner of that event, of say the Wyndham Championship, gets 500 FedEx Cup points. Well, for the FedEx St. Jude and the BMW, those have been quadrupled to 2,000 points for those two events. Okay? And so even if Scotty Scheffler were to not accumulate any points, he still most likely, I believe, would be in the top 5 going in to the Tour Championship. And I believe anybody who's in the top 5 of the FedEx Cup going to the Tour Championship, if they win the Tour Championship, they win the FedEx Cup. At least that's how it has been in years past. So I'd say that's why he has the best chance. He's clearly had the best year of anybody. He's been the most consistent. Does his putter leave something to be desired? Yeah. But he's great with his irons. He's decently long off the tee. And I think a very interesting stat about Scotty Scheffler, he's actually very good from 20 to 25 feet in length of putts. He's actually third on tour from that distance. And so when you hit a lot of greens, that's roughly the length of putt that you have for birdie. So that's a very important stat. You know, everybody thinks PGA Tour players hit it really close all the time. That's not exactly true. Yes, you can cash in some easy birdies, some cheap birdies that way by sticking it close. But there's a reason why PGA Tour average is, you know, if you're hitting it to within 30 feet on average, you're leading the tour in proximity to the hole. So the fact that he's so good from 20 to 25 feet in one putt percentage is very crucial for these next 3 events because he already hits a lot of greens and he's really good from that distance. I would say a crash and burn. We talked about him recently. Corey Connors. He's right on the 30 number in FedEx Cup points. His putting is not good. He's 133rd strokes gained around the green this year. And he's also 103rd strokes gained putting. So although he's actually an elite ball striker, the guys who are in contention the most are the ones that putt the best. And this is a perfectly large enough sample size for you to see. His putting is clearly a concern. His short game is clearly a concern. That's why I could see him crashing and burning and not even making it to the Tour Championship.
I had a handful of guys who I think could really kind of mop the floor here and play incredibly well. But there's one guy who stands out among the rest, and I was apt to say either Rory or Cam Smith because both of them have played so incredibly well in the second half of the year, particularly Cam, especially with the putter. The putter has been like on a different planet in terms of actual skill set for him. Mm-hmm. But I think Sam Burns was third currently in the top 10. If there's one guy who I think can very well come out and win this entire tournament, the whole playoff, I think it's Sam Burns. And and first of all, a win is going to put him well in the first place, which as of right now, he's already aggregated to what? I think 8 strokes or a 6-stroke aggregate right now for Eastlake. So he's only going to get better. He's guaranteed a top 10 spot regardless. He's one of the best putters, and the putting services for this event and at Eastlake are going to be the bent grass greens that he loves to play on. So it's going to be a 3 weeks period for him where I think he can come out and place top 10 every single week, secure a spot in the top 5, and just go at it. But there's one guy also who I'm gonna give a shout out to, who he obviously isn't my pick, Sam Burns is, but I think because of the way he's played the last 2 weeks and I guess you could say like the target on his back, Tony Finau, despite the putter not necessarily being his greatest hit, has been on fire the last 2 weeks when he's won in Detroit and in Minnesota. First of all, he hits it a country mile. Mm-hmm. These courses are bombers' paradises. The hills at Eastlake are meant for the ball to roll 40, 50 extra yards out. Bryson DeChambeau had a 430-yard drive at this place. The BMW, again, Bryson almost drove his way to a win until, of course, the putter let him down. I think Tony Finau can dominate these 3 courses. He can reach every par 5 handedly on every single course, and he just fits the mold so well. The key is the putter. If he can get while it's that, When Tony Finau is top 40 in strokes gained putting for a week, he wins the event, which is saying something considering he's only won 4 events. Like, not very good sample size for a guy who's been around for 7 years, but twice he's done it in the last 3 weeks, and he's finished like second and third.
Yeah, I think I was about to say before you said Tony Finau, I was going to say Tony Finau is a very interesting pick to make a move in the FedEx Cup. Golf is such a momentum game, as is sports in general. Sports, it's all about momentum, really. And when you can accumulate momentum, I don't remember how he played this past week, but when you win 2 events in the last 3 weeks, you're in really good shape, especially when it's the most important time of the year. I think Tony Finau, I wouldn't even call him a dark horse. I think he's a very solid pick to win the FedEx Cup. I really do. He's not at all a dark horse. He's for real. He's very long off the tee. Look, man, all it takes is one really good week of putting. That's it. That's all it takes. And putting, just for those of you out there, it's the most mental part of golf, but physically it's the easiest thing to do. So really, it's actually the easiest thing to fix. I'd much rather be, as a player myself, I'd much rather be swinging it great and putting poorly than the latter.
Really interesting.
Absolutely, because putting is the easiest thing to fix. 100%.
Tony's also fascinating, and we could break down his swing like all we want. His motion. He was asked by Amanda Balionis months ago in an interview. She was like, "You bring it back so short, and you're kind of very stiff when you swing. Do you usually go like full force?" He goes, "Yeah. When I swing full, like a John Daly all the way back and around, he hits the ball 430 yards, which is obscene." He says it goes like 40 yards to the right, but he can still hit the ball 360 if he really wanted to. That's just how good he is, powerful wise, for his kind of frame. He's impeccable.
He's very tall and he has very long limbs. That definitely helps in creating speed. He also has quite a bit of lag, which also helps create distance and power. Yeah. So his golf swing is very fundamentally sound. It's also very shallow. Something to keep in mind for anybody out there: if you want to improve your ball striking, focus on making sure the club is nice and shallow on your downswing. Historically, the best ball strikers, like Tony Finau, are very shallow. Sergio Garcia, very shallow. Zach Johnson, very shallow. Guys like that, Rory McIlroy, very shallow. So he does all of the necessary things technically to be very good with his long game and to be an elite driver of the golf ball. And the thing is, he doesn't just hit it long; he hits it pretty straight. Yeah. For the length that he has.
Really good tips here from the golf guru Ben Pirro.
If anybody needs lessons, let me know. I am poor and I need money.
I mean, honestly, if you want to do virtual tips for me, like I will absolutely throw you on a FaceTime call and we can go over some things.
We can talk about payment after the show.
We will. Crash and burn victim for me. I think it's very clear who it is. When you look at the top 30, there are like 4 or 5 names that you're like, this guy doesn't really fit here. And it's largely because they had wins very early on in the year when the fields weren't super strong. Luke List comes to mind. Tom Hoagie's there. JT Poston did win the John Deere. He's 21st, which like he's ahead of Colin Morikawa, for example. You know, Colin hasn't been great all year, but the one guy who was going to just crash and burn is actually none of those guys. I think Victor Hovland doesn't like his chipping has still been so bad over the last 5 weeks. I don't know how this guy manages to stay so close in the race. Yeah, he hits it really well, but he's a little erratic. He's very not only immature, I would even say, but he doesn't approach the game as like a 30-year-old player would. He's still only 25 years old. He's a young little kid, but his highs are really high and his lows get super low. And he doesn't necessarily fit these courses very well. His history has been very mediocre. I think Victor Hovland's going to just crash and burn here. 19th ranked player right now in points. I think he might drop possibly even lower. With the fact that you have guys like Colin and Davis Riley and Seamus Power, Aaron Wise, Shane Lowry, filling out that back end top 20 spot. I feel like he has some really tough competition. He's got to play really well in order to move up. Because again, like you said, point values are quadrupled. So guys are going to be getting a lot of points these next few weeks. And even guys in the top 30 and 40 that we're going to get into right now, some really good players. Speaking of that, from 31 to 75, the most underrated player is who? Give me the breakdown.
Okay. In my opinion, he just won this week. Like I said, golf is such a momentum game. 7th place finish last week, 1st place finish this week. I believe he has 9 starts, 1 win, 3 top 10s, 5 top 25s, and only 1 missed cut, which wasn't a major. It's Joohyung Kim, Tom Kim. He's currently 35th, I believe, in the FedEx Cup.
34th.
Or 34th. Okay. So he's right there. He's basically, because of how he's played, he's knocking on the door of that top 30. He's definitely the most underrated, I would say. He's also one of the hotter golfers right now on the planet because he's been playing very well.
I find him really interesting. And I love taking him every single week because you know he could turn out top 20s. He's the 32nd ranked player in the world in putting, short game putting. He's also the 31st ranked player in the field this week going into the playoffs. Maverick McNeely, for some reason, gets no love.
He does not.
He's one of the best approach players in the game. He's literally better than Colin Morikawa in stroke gained approach, which is like nuts to think about. Maverick McNeely is the 31st ranked player right now, and he's 1 point off being in the top 30, off Corey Connors. He's 2 points off beating Luke List. He's 6 points off Shane Lowry. Hell, he's literally a top 10 finish away from being the 16th ranked player in the field this week. He needed 1 top 10. Like, Maverick McNeely is so good, and he's been amazing this year that I don't know how he can't get enough love, and he's super low on the board too. One other guy that I'm just looking at it now, and I made a joke about it. I think it was for the Rock and Mortgage. I think I had picked him. Like you had said, putting is the finesse part of golf, and it's also the easiest thing to do. But it's the most strokes you take per round. And if you're really good at putting, you're going to be super successful on tour. He's basically putted his way to the 42nd ranked spot, and he's a top 10 putter. Denny McCarthy, if you can putt well on these golf courses, and you can putt in bunches, you can get birdies in bunches here. Outside of Eastlake, bit of an exception here. But you very well might see the BMW if Denny McCarthy can keep the ball straight at a bomber's paradise and just putt the ball well. He can be a top 5 player going in. And with that buffer, can finish top 15 in the playoff. If you could bet Denny McCarthy for a top 15 to finish at the end of the FedEx Cup playoffs, I would take it so often. That's a huge play.
It's a good point. Yeah.
Right? Thank you. We're going to look now to the back end, 75 to 125, including our friend Ricky Fowler at 125, making his first playoff that he missed since last season. We have some sleepers, some survivors, and some second-round flyers. That all really rhymed. I guess I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. See what I did there? Anyways, Ben,
Good shot.
give me some sleepers, some guys that are super way back that you think are even like those, like the same kind of thing with our last pick here, like underrated guys who didn't really have great years, but could come out in the playoffs and just dominate.
Okay, so I have 3 guys. I picked 3 guys for this. They're all older players, very well known. As far as like that back end, the 76 to 125 spots, they're actually pretty sporadically placed out. They're roughly 20 spots, are in between each one. Adam Scott, Justin Rose, and Ricky Fowler. And my reasoning for this, these guys understand how to play golf in big moments clearly. I know Ricky Fowler has not won a major. Justin Rose and Adam Scott have, but Ricky Fowler has won a Players Championship. Okay, so these guys know how to play in high-pressure situations. And when your season is on the line, I would say that qualifies as a high-pressure situation. So those are my sleepers. heading into the FedEx Cup playoffs. Those three guys, a lot historically very good players. That's what I'm going off of.
I'm going to join you on three guys. I've actually broken them all out into these three categories here. A sleeper to make Eastlake and possibly go for it all. A survivor if you're going to try and pick someone super late to try and advance all the way like a matchup kind of play and see if they can get to the final. And someone who's almost a guaranteed second round hit here. Starting off with the second round flyer, I think Daniel Berger is a perfect play. He's like 77th, I think it is. Like he's like somewhere like right around 78th. Right behind Adam Scott. He won the Honda. It's basically the only event that he's played all year that he's gotten a win. He's been bugged with injuries the entire year. It's like a plague for him this past season, but he's finally healthy. Doctors say he's good to go. He's been at Southwind for the last 2 weeks. He's ready to go, finding his rhythm. And I think very well to make a second round play for Daniel Berger is not very difficult as someone who finished like 23rd going into the playoffs last year. A very talented golfer that also very lacks a lot of love from fans. Oh, hello. I think Berger is going to be a great play for a second round flyer. As far as a survivor, someone really underrated who I've been following for a few years now, and I think has been playing. He's getting progressively better. Is Patrick Rogers? Pretty solid putter. Very good on the approach play. Hits the ball dead straight. He isn't necessarily the longest player on the planet, but I think he fits the mold perfectly. If he can get it straight at Southwind, he'll certainly be able to get it going at the BMW. It's going to take a win, or probably even more than a win, being that he's sitting at around only 516 points. Obviously, a 2,000-point win will only get him as high as, wait for it, the 8th spot. Basically, he needs a top 3 in one of these in order to really get up there. But I think he's a great play. The sleeper, though, to go all the way, and I really do think he can very well win an event at some point this week. There's something in the water, and it's kind of just festering, and it's ready. Jonathan Vegas. He hits the ball extremely far. He putts the ball pretty well for a guy of his stature and his ability. He isn't known for his putter, but he's literally 47th on tour this year in strokes gained putting, and surprisingly is one of the top 50 players in strokes gained approach. Every single winner of the FedEx Cup and every guy who's been in Eastlake for the year is finished within the top 50 in strokes gained approach, strokes gained off the tee, and strokes gained putting. Vegas has all of them. And also, he is also one of the top players in distance, which is going to be a factor in at least the first 2 events going into. So I think Vegas can make a very big run here. He's sitting at around, I believe he's 97th, only 427 points, but again, a win will get you into the top 10. And at that point, you're kind of battling for positions there. But those are the guys that I'm looking out for. While we've given you some guys that we're interested in, we also have some bold predictions, things that we want to come true, and we're festering on. And Ben's got some wild ones. Ben,
oh yeah,
lead it off. There's one guy who you think will make the Tour Championship from all the way in the back of the bus. Who's pushing their way to the front of the bus?
Ricky Fowler is going to go starting from 125th in the FedEx Cup standings this week, and he's going to make the Tour Championship. I'm not saying he's going to win. I'm not saying he's going to win top 5. He will make the Tour Championship. That is one of my first bold predictions.
I love it. My first one is interesting. There's one guy who I didn't know who he was until he played in the Open, and he's managed to make the playoffs here. He's 104th, only 400 points. I am going to guarantee he makes the second round, and it's Callum Tarry, the Englishman. He's been playing really well since he played at the Open, and I was very surprised because for a young kid who didn't have a lot really kind of going, was in contention the first 2 days at the Open, managed to make the weekend in his first ever major appearance in Scotland. He's been playing very well, has multiple top 25s this season. I think Taryn's going to really push himself here at Southwind. He's a really good putter. He hits the ball pretty damn far and straight. His approach play isn't great, but his scrambling is awesome. So don't expect him to have a lot of birdies. He will most certainly make par on the vast majority of holes, and that's what's really going to matter. Limiting your mistakes and capitalizing on your powers is going to really kind of push you here, and it's what's going to make you a better player overall. Ben, your second play.
All right, my second play. He might just end up being my favorite player of all time. Joohyung Kim finishes top 5 in the standings. He's at 34th right now overall. He's kind of on a hot streak, a little bit of a heater. I could definitely see it happening. He's young. He's only 20 years old. He's fearless. Top 5 at the end of the season in the standings. I think that's very doable. It's my second bold prediction.
I have one guy who I think is going to just die these next 3 weeks and fall off the map. And you really like him. You really like him.
With this.
I don't think Scotty Scheffler is going to play as well as we think he's going to play.
Are you kidding me?
I'm totally serious. He will make East Lake. No. Don't. He will make the final. He will probably be the number 1 player in the field if assuming the guys who do win don't have the points to reach up. I think Scotty Scheffler will finish just short. And the next guy that I'm going to talk about is going to be the reason why. Our winners for – not Tom Kim. Our winners for the FedEx Cup. I'm going to segue this right into my reasoning. I think Sam Burns will handedly win the FedEx Cup, and it's solely because his proximity to the hole is number 1 on the PGA Tour. His strokes gained putting on bent grass and Bermuda grass are 4 strokes better than every single person on the PGA Tour this season, which is significantly better than I've ever seen anybody outside of Tiger Woods in the history of golf. He's been a stud when it comes to playing deep in the South, when it comes to playing in the Midwest, and these are courses that are all in the general area. With the BMW is a little different, but Tennessee first, Delaware second, and then the heat of Georgia. We're in the middle of August, and it is humid out. Sam Burns is a Louisiana guy, born and bred, went to LSU. He's ready to take on the Deep South. He played at East Lake for multiple SEC championship titles, and he's won multiple times there as well. I think Sam Burns is going to win the FedEx Cup playoff.
You know, you're really pathetic, Stephen. You really are.
Why?
Because not only did you completely insult the reigning Masters champion Scotty Scheffler.
I'm not trying to insult him. I said he would make the final.
My turn to talk. It's my turn to talk. Not only did you completely insult the man who has over 1,000-point lead going into the playoffs, but your take about how he's going to just completely fall off the map
No.
different from what
I never said that.
My bold prediction, Scotty Scheffler wins the FedEx Cup by over 5,000 points. You can take it to the bank. I promise you.
5,000 points?
Because guess what? He already has over 1,000-point lead. So all he needs is another 4,000 points. And he's still number 1 in the FedEx Cup.
So he needs to.
And your point about how Sam Burns went to LSU and how he's made for the Deep South heat. Okay, where did Scotty Scheffler grow up? Do you know?
Texas.
Where did he go to school?
Texas.
Is it really hot in Texas in August? I think so. I think Scotty – and no, I know Scotty Scheffler –
Pretty hot in Louisiana, too.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty goddamn hot in the Deep South in Georgia and in Louisiana and Mississippi.
I'm just saying.
Give me a break.
I'm not giving you a break.
You do realize that to get to 5,000, he's going to have to win two out of 3 weeks.
Yep.
All right. So, low key, you're kind of contradicting yourself because you said that Scotty's probably going to win the next 2 weeks. But Tom Kim will finish 5th, which will require him to basically have to finish 2nd then.
Well, no. Tom Kim could definitely still finish top 5 if he wins one of the weeks. Absolutely.
But he'd have to win. He'd have to win 1 week. But Scotty's going to win 2 weeks. So you're saying Scotty's going to win when?
3 more events.
Yeah.
So Tom Kim wins 1, plays well in the other 2.
That's hard.
Yeah. So everybody understands, because apparently I'm contradicting myself, but I don't think Steven knows at all what he's talking about. So if Tom Kim wins one event and plays well in the other two, Scotty Scheffler wins two and plays well in the other one that he doesn't win. It's a win for Tom Kim, and it's 2 wins for Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler gets all those points, and we are all good to go, and I look like the genius that I am.
You know, I gotta say, this is only your first official show as the co-host, and you're already off on a really bad foot with me. Don't fuck with me.
What? You literally said I was contradicting myself.
No, I know. I'm more or less, I'm just being an ass.
I know.
We're taking a break. We come back. We're going to talk about TPC Southwind, give you a little breakdown of the golf course, and give you our beer money picks this week. Don't go anywhere. That's Ben. I'm Steve. It's the Underground. Get in the hole. We'll be right back. Welcome back in. Get in the hole. Ben Pirro, Steve McAvoy here. It's time for some Course Confidential. We're talking about TPC Southwind, the first round of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Ben, you're our pro. Break down the course for us. Give us every little insight about TPC Southwind down in rural Tennessee. What do we got?
Okay, so this is from PGAtour.com. It's a really good article written by Jeff Eisenband. I believe he does, I think the article is called like 5 Things to Know About So-and-so event, basically. I think he does all of these. He always does a fantastic job. If you're ever looking to know some more background about said tournament playing that particular week, his articles are always very good to look at. So basically, TPC Southwind, it is TPC Southwind, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know why it's called TPC Southwind?
Because it's Tournament Players Club, and the wind comes from the south.
Yeah, there you go. The wind goes south.
I told you.
Do you know what direction the course goes in?
Well, the course goes in all different directions because holes just in turn.
The typical contouring of the course goes south to north, so you're playing into the wind all the time. Little fun fact: don't let me get in the way of your breakdown here, though.
Okay, that's fine. So TPC Southwind has undergone many changes in roughly almost the last 20 years or so. Specifically since 2020, they've made a lot of changes to bunkering. There have been new bunkers. Some holes have new bunkers. Some holes they filled in bunkers with grass. Some bunkers have been expanded. Some bunkers have been
Eroded.
Not eroded, but they've made them smaller essentially. Yeah. But bunker contouring is actually a very big part of a golf course. It definitely changes the look of the hole, changes the look of each shot that you have. So that's definitely something. So understanding who can adapt the best to the changes made to the course. Also, they've added some length on several holes, I believe. So for bombers out there, I think that's a very important thing to note. So fun fact, did you know that TPC Southwind since 2003 has had the most balls in the water of any PGA Tour course by over 1,000 balls?
Yes, actually, I pointed this out last year in our preview. The only other golf course that compares, I believe, no, you know what it was? It was a hole specifically. There's one hole at TPC Southwind that has like more balls than any other course. And the next nearest one is like the 17th at the Bear Trap at the Honda. Is like the next nearest. But this course is draped in water, and it's impossible to miss.
Yes. So accuracy, avoiding water. So good ball strikers like Scotty Scheffler. Good pick for this week.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But Sam Burns is too.
Okay, whatever. Also, one thing to note, the greens down at this course are very good. So fun fact for you, they have the highest percentage of made putts from 5 to 10 feet which is typically what you see for par putts, 5 to 10 feet. That's why we work so hard on 6-footers in pro golf. And highest percentage of makes from 15 to 25 feet, which is generally what you see on birdie putts. Who's really good at 15 from 20 to 25 feet putting wise? That would be my man Scotty Scheffler. He's third on tour. And also, this course is the lowest percentage of 3 putts on tour. Lastly, par 70 course. Anybody can look that up to see the scorecard. But also, the last hole, the 18th hole, one of the most demanding tee shots you will have in golf. Dogleg left, water left. I think there are trees to the right, if I'm not mistaken. It's a really difficult hole. I remember back in 2012, I believe, Rory McIlroy, I think, was tied for the lead and ended up hitting it left into the water, made double. So it's there. It's a really difficult finishing hole. Do not be surprised if we see a lot of drama on 18.
It's also a blind tee shot on that 18th hole. You have to basically cut the tree line in order to find your way. So it's like so the dog leg runs left, but the water's there too. But the tree line is basically blocking you over. So you basically have to hit a fade to get into the fairway, and then it cuts back around. So it's like they call it the hind dog leg, because like when you think about it, the dog's leg comes this way, juts out a little bit, and then comes back in. So it's a very unique and like fascinating hole. The 18th is really going to be a major factor here. The biggest thing that I noticed when I was watching overhead videos of the course, narrow fairways. They really enjoy breaking up the fairway as well. So it'll go, I don't know, 100 to 120 yards worth of a fairway, break it off with like a 30-yard gap of just deep, thick rough, kind of forcing players to either go all out with driver or lay it up with a 3-wood. So they're really like, there is no perfect way of winning, because when you think about it, you can go driver and you'll have a wedge in, but you're almost just as good with going 3-wood and having a 7-iron in. It's a very different like game, so you can kind of play it both ways. So anybody could win here. There's been a lot of very diverse winners. With that being said, I'm gonna give the floor to you here. Give me those keys to winning at Southwind. You gave some pointers here. Ball strikers are going to be primed. It's going to be a good driving course. But what are the key stats that if you take nothing out of this entire segment, the 3 things we need to know about this course that you need to have this week?
Okay, so like I said before, this course, TPC Southwind, they have pure greens, right? So it has the highest percentage of made putts from 5 to 10 feet. That's generally the range that you see for par putts. When you miss the green, you chip it up there out of a bunker or whatever. 5 to 10 feet, that's very crucial. This course is the highest percentage made on tour from that distance. Also, 15 to 25 feet, also the highest percentage made. You see that a lot with birdie putts. So if you're really good, statistics say if you're really good with those 2 distance ranges, you should have a very good week. Also, it's a ball strikers course like most courses are. It's a demanding course off the tee, and it's also a placement course. You don't necessarily need to hit driver. But that being said, with placement golf, you have to have your full swing intact. So it's a ball strikers course this week for sure, along with you have to be a good mid-range putter, I would say. Those are really,
Absolutely.
Yeah. You said 3. I felt like the putting thing was kind of 2. It's
like it if you really need it, honestly, because when you think about it, and I used to always bring up in the past the concept of birdie or better, or like opportunities gained. It's like it's kind of like strokes gained putting, but it also factors in the idea of proximity to the hole. Yeah. So when you think about it, like opportunities gained is basically getting it on the green and finding a good enough proximity where that player can convert birdies or better more often than not. So like you said, like 25 feet is like the average, let's just say. If a player's average is like 18 feet to the hole and they can get it within like a 3-foot gap of that, then their number is going to go up, because their trajectory basically says, all right, strokes gained approach is great, proximity is even better, they're supposed to make this putt. So it kind of shoots up that way. So it's a much more like broader sense of just simply strokes gained putting, which I think I love the advanced analytics that the PGA Tour has done. Total sidebar, but that's just a great point here. With that being said, thanks to Ben for our Course Confidential. It's time for some beer money, our final segment here of the day, brought to you by Kenwood Beer. Kenwood is Philadelphia's #1 light beer, better than Bud Light, better than Bud. Let's get it, Kenny. Strap in. Let's get it going. Top 20 at the TPC Southwind. We already know you love Tom Kim and you love Scotty Scheffler, but I'm sure there's somebody else out there that you want this week.
I do. I like Billy Horschel this week. I feel like this course suits him very well. I know some might say he's not the player he once was. He's a little bit older. He has such a beautiful golf swing, though. And when he's on ball striking wise, I feel like this is the perfect course for him. This course does remind me a little bit of TPC Louisiana, where he won his very first PGA Tour event, which I believe is still called the Zurich Classic, but that was before it was a team format. That's very much – I've played that course. It's not as narrow as TPC Southwind, but it's very much a placement-style golf course. So that's why I like Billy Horschel. He's a good putter, good short game, very good ball striker. Hits it pretty straight. I like him as a top 20.
He was one of the guys that I was considering in our first segment among guys in the top 30 to pick as a sleeper to win it all, because he's really he has done something very tremendous in the last 3 years. And that's go from someone who, even now, you look at the top 30 players in the world and you very clearly know who's who. You know JT and you know Cameron Young nowadays. And you get to 21. You're like, who the fuck's Billy Horschel? Like the casual golf fan is like, this guy's that good? Yeah, he's that good. Really I love his swing. I love his style. I think he's probably the most stylish guy on tour. I'm going to join you, Ashley, for a top 20 there because I love him so much as a player, but also as a competitor. He's fierce. He's hungry. And this guy is dying to make it to East Lake again. I believe without aggregate, he finished 3rd overall at East Lake last year. And he was 3 under to begin the tournament. He finished 14 under par. He was incredible the entire week.
And he also has won a FedEx Cup, so he knows what it's like to play really good golf.
Exactly.
Really good in high pressure situations.
Damn right. Top 10, who you got?
All right, top 10. I went with Rory. I believe he has a tied for second here. I know that year, I believe it was 2012, where he made double in 18. I believe he finished tied for second or top 5. He's had some success out here. Again, ball strikers course. Rory's a very good ball striker. I didn't put him in top 5 or, for win, just because I don't necessarily trust his putting all the time. So that's why ball striking alone, average putting week, I would say top 10 for Rory McAvoy.
I love the pick. I think Rory's going to do a little better than the top 10. I'm not picking him this week, but I'm going to save him for some point later on. Someone who hasn't putted very well, and it almost seems like there's been a disproportion from his arms off the tee to his arms on the putting green. I think it's finally the week to bet on Colin Morikawa.
That's a good pick.
I have been waiting and begging to get this kid on a bet slip. He's for a top 10 right now. It's plus 300, which is obscene value for someone of his skill. He's still a tremendous iron player. Justin Thomas was playing with him the other day in a practice round and said, "I've never seen Colin play this well." And this is the same guy who was neck and neck with him for majors, multiple majors. Colin looks dialed in. I haven't seen him play yet, but I'm hoping to God a good round one and a good putt, a good flat stick will go a very long way to him taking home a top 10 and pushing his way up from that 20. He's 23rd right now. He shouldn't be there. He's a top 10 player in the world. Give him some love. Push him up. Let's get it. Top 5 for you. Who you got?
Okay, top 5. One of the hottest golfers on tour right now, Tony Finau. He 2 wins in his last 3 weeks. He's gotten hotter with the putter recently. Not hotter. It's warm. Okay, I'll give him that. Yeah, just like me,
Whoa! You're on a 10-second timeout. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Oh, Rick, you actually muted me?
Yeah, I did.
I'm telling Kyle.
This is around the horn. I'm Tony Reality. I call the shots.
Whatever.
We got to do the point meter. You just lose points.
I would totally destroy that. Anyway, Tony.
Sorry, go ahead. Tony.
one of the hottest golfers right now on the planet. He's going to finish top 5. I promise you that.
I really hate that we have so many similar picks. I also took Tony Finau this week.
Because great minds think alike, Steven. That's
Great
why.
minds do it that think alike. Tony Finau is one of my personal favorite golfers, and I was so distraught when he hadn't won for like 4 years. And when I went last year to the Northern Trust, I followed Tony's group, and it was round 3. Obviously, the monsoon hit in New Jersey, and they had a Monday finish, like a late Monday finish.
Mhm.
And so I had tickets for Sunday, didn't wind up going, obviously. And just watching Tony play, there was a bravado around him, like something was like ready to just jump off the course for him. He would miss putts by a quarter of an inch, and he would just like sit there and just sigh and just kind of like shake his head and move on and then make eagle. Like it was that he was ready and rolling, and we had not seen that from Tony Finau in literally 5 years. Now we're seeing it. And to kind of visualize the idea of Tony Finau possibly being able to go top 3 again going into Eastlake, and now where last year Cantlay was hot as anybody. He had 3 wins in 5 weeks. Rahm was the by far number 1 player in the world. Outside of Scheffler and Cameron Smith, who hasn't even played since, well, neither one of them have played since the Open. I would rather kind of take the guy who's been playing and has been kind of grinding out wins than the guys who have been waiting out and sitting back in the playoffs. I love Tony. I think Tony's going to be a great play. I think he just totally fits. Before we get to that winning pick, give me that gimme.
Gary Woodland, top 25. I believe he's in like that 3rd tier. Yeah, he's like in the 79 range, 79, 80 range of FedEx Cup points, I believe. The last couple of years, Gary Woodland has definitely seen a little bit of a dip, but this is one of those high pressure situations. He's contended majors. He's won a U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. I think this will be a good week for him. When he's on, he's actually a lot of fun to watch because he's an athlete playing golf. You just look at him, you're like, this guy's just an athlete playing golf. That's just my first kind of takeaway whenever I watch him. I'm just like, this guy's an athlete. So
He's a stud.
Yep, he's a stud.
Also someone who gets zero love, and I think it's more because he's sponsored by Wilson than it is anything else. My guinea pick this week, top 30. I love him. Mav McNeely. I think he'll probably play even better than a top 30, but he's already plus 200 on the book for a top 30, so it's kind of free money to take it and run. Maverick McNeely, man. There's nothing else that I need to say that I haven't said already. Approach play has been awesome. Really good putter. This is a course that fits his mold. He's finished top 25 here multiple times. I think Mav is a great play. Give me that winning pick. Probably Scotty Scheffler here or Tom Kim. Who is it?
It's Scotty Scheffler. He's first on tour this year in greens and regulation. It's a ball strikers course. Very important. 8th in birdie or better conversion rate. That's also pretty good. And he's 3rd in putting from 20 to 25 feet. Steven, what is one of the most important ranges in feet for putting this week? Were you listening? What is it?
20 to 25 feet.
15 to 25 feet. Yeah.
Whatever.
So, there you go. That's why he's my pick. He does the really important things well, makes a lot of birdies, converts a lot of those mid-range birdie putts that keep that round going, and hits a lot of greens. When you hit a lot of greens, that's a lot of stress-free pars. Scotty Scheffler.
I like it. My pick to win is someone who I have mentioned earlier on this show. I think it's kind of clear where we're going here. I was very wrong when I had said that the previous winner at the FedEx St. Jude at Southwind was Sam Burns. It was actually Abraham Ancer. I was very wrong. However, who finished only second to Abe Ancer? It was Sam Burns. You know who's the second best player on tour in putting between 15 and 25 feet?
Sam Burns.
Sam Bermuda Burns.
Sam Burns is going to burn you this week, Steven. I hope
if he does, he can burn me however much he wants. I still love him. I love Sam Burns this week. Terrific putter. Loves these surfaces. He hits the ball pretty well. Watching him swing his new Callaway Rogue, it's a beautiful sight. He's been hitting it better than he has in his entire career. He's in fact gained more strokes off the tee since changing over from his Callaway Epic to his Rogue. he's gained 5 strokes tee to green, solely from a putter, solely from a driving change, which is a monstrous number. And again, no one outside of Scheffler can make birdies in bunches like Sam Burns, especially on these surfaces. So I love Sam Burns this week. Ben, you said you wanted to talk to KB about muting me. Here he is.
Yeah. This jerk off muted me before because
Whoa! Don't call me that.
No. Let me talk, okay?
I'm
And
offended.
then he told me that I contradicted myself because he can't do simple math. You'll see later. You'll see it. I basically I jumped down his throat.
First full week on the job and you're already coming at him, Steve. Come on, I thought I raised you better.
He's coming at me.
My
I
job.
thought I raised you better.
I had to keep an eye.
Dad. He's doing it to me.
This is gonna be such a fun new iteration of this podcast.
Oh,
I'm
we're
so
gonna.
excited.
Me and Ben secretly hate each other.
This thing is
Keep going.
going to the fucking moon.
I actually really like you. I thought you had a lot of really good things tonight. I really did.
Although
Real quick, I will say I like the Sam Burns pick. I really do. I think he's actually one of the most underrated golfers on tour.
definitely.
Not often talked about. I really do like it. I just love that you sat there and said that I was contradicting myself when I clearly wasn't, which is so funny. And also, just so you know, your point about like how he played at LSU and how he's from Louisiana or whatever, and how he's used to playing in hot conditions. Well, that actually helped my pick to win the FedEx Cup because Scotty Scheffler grew up in Texas and he played in Texas and at Texas.
It's just as hot.
Exactly. So that helps my point.
Then again, like 80% of the tours from like Texas and the deep south, anyways. So like what does it matter? Like Keegan Bradley isn't gonna win in 98 degree heat. He went to St. John's. He was golfing in Queens.
Do you want to know something? Keegan Bradley first major at the Atlanta Club. At the
Really?
Atlanta Athletic Club at the PGA. Do you know where that is?
I'm gonna assume Atlanta.
It's in Georgia. And that was when the PGA Championship was in August, and it's very hot. So
All right, well,
be better.
wow, the kid who doesn't watch golf very much did his homework prior to joining the show.
I love hashtag Ben's book, by the way.
Wait, is that a thing?
It's got to be.
Is
I saw you whip
I have
out the
one
book,
too.
and I was like, "This is great."
Wait, Ben, do we have the same book?
Mine's brown.
Mine's black, but it has
Where'd
it
you get
has
yours?
the little strap on it.
Do you have the little
I do in the corner.
wait, where'd you get yours?
Staples.
I got mine from Amazon.
Oh, close enough.
Is yours leather?
Yes.
Mine's leather too. Wow.
What brand is yours?
Very good question. I just thought it looked good and studious.
Mine's True Red.
AKA Staples brand.
True Red.
Markings.
Markings. Sounds like a boring name for a brand.
I don't know.
KB actually works at Staples.
Sadly,
Oh, you do?
yeah, that's the pay the bills, pay the student loans job.
Damn right. Damn right.
I'm just here to check in that Mar-a-Lago is okay. They just came to. I took a couple papers home. I tried to flush them down the toilet, but they caught me, and everything's okay, though. I talked it over. Dottie Jr. and Eric are going to settle things over at FBI headquarters, but Mar-a-Lago is okay. Patrons, come golf. It's going to be a great time. I've got
Yeah,
Diet
you,
Coke on the line.
Kyle, you missed it. As I was saying that, actually, someone left corn on Ben's front porch,
Yeah, it's in like a bag.
and I'm pretty sure it's the people who he pissed off at the pro-am, and they're trying to lace the corn with anthrax.
Not anthrax corn.
Well, they want to kill him.
Probably.
It's that, dude. It's South Dakota, man. North Dakota. You don't know like what to expect.
That's
Whatever.
valid. Carson Wentz is from there, so you never know.
You know who else is from
The only thing Carson Wentz poisoning is every single franchise he's ever been a part of. Okay, that's the only thing that got poisoned.
He isn't that bad. He had like 4,000 yards for the Colts last year.
Yeah, and the owner of the team basically said he was like a cancer.
They lost the game that would have got them into the playoffs to the Jaguars on the day the Jaguars fans showed up with fake mustaches to clown their owner. They lost that game and missed the playoffs.
You know, Kyle, like totally unrelated to football and golf too. And we're gonna wrap up here at the 1 hour and 30 mark. But isn't it so nice being a Phillies and a Mets fan this week, knowing that the Braves are just sucking ass?
You know, it's really nice.
What a feeling!
It was beautiful.
It's really nice to be a Mets fan because we basically just shellacked the Braves, which means we're definitely going to shellac the Phillies, and I can't.
Yeah.
We're kind of better than the Braves, but
I cannot wait to watch Thor just serve up cookies.
how sad are you guys going to be when Jacob deGrom leaves in free agency and teams back up with Zach Wheeler and Noah Syndergaard?
You will
with the
never
Phils?
leave New York.
How sick would you be?
There's
He
no
won't leave. First of all, second of all, I cannot wait for Noah Syndergaard to get rocked. And
Well, there's
also,
already the rumor. There's already the rumor that he's going to leave in free agency and go to the Braves.
no way.
No.
Third point, actually, that I think is really interesting. Andy DeComo or Anthony DeComo,
Anthony, yeah.
tweeted out that the Mets are currently linked to getting some free agency help from an old friend.
Who, Bartolo Colon?
No, Jerry's Familia.
Oh, good. I hope he blows your organization up from the inside out. Oh,
You do realize though,
He loves the Mets.
his only good years pitching were with the Mets.
he's
And
New
they
York's Nick Foles. He's only good in a Mets uniform.
Dance of Kuduro time.
really did screw up that World Series for us though, man. And
God,
No,
he's such a bum.
No, that was Addison Reed. Don't get it twisted. It was that tall Eminem ass looking motherfucker. Addison Reed with his cap that's like up here.
I will never not be convinced that Jerry's Familia was an industry plant to try to ruin and sabotage the Phillies season.
probably.
So was Odubel Herrera, who I have his autograph actually.
Well, he was an in-house industry plant.
You guys got rid of Jerry Familia, Didi Gregorius.
We got rid of Joe Girardi, Jerry's Familia, Odubel Herrera, Didi Gregorius, and look, we're one of the hottest fucking teams in all of baseball.
And yet, like, Scott Kingery is still not around. Like, where's he at?
He's chilling with the Iron
He deserves
Pigs.
more. That's going to do it all for us. We're going to go talk more sports. Next week, BMW Championship, Wild FedEx Cup playoff time. Enjoy the playoffs. Until then, I'm Steve McAvoy. That's Ben Pirro below me. And Kyle Bennett, the CEO and the founder of Under. Oh, put the arms away. God.
Thanks.
All right. You're gone.